Alright, so I'll be reading from my notes and the Bible and Wikipedia today. And right now, I'm going to have you, if you want to, you can pause the camera and take down all this information. And then I'm going to move it over. Also, you can copy that. So there's a couple of numbers that come up a lot. Mainly 3, 4, 7, 9, 10, and 12, the 10 plagues. 7 comes up a lot, like 70 family members, so on and so forth. 40 days, 40 nights, that's basically 4. So you can look the 3. Aaron was 3 years younger than Moses. His sister Miriam was 7 years older. So we're dealing with those Hebrew numbers again, 3, 7, and 12. So there you go. You can copy that down and pause it. I just want to show you that. So Epiphany is basically defined as an appearance of God or some divine manifestation. Okay? So basically seeing God face to face would be an epiphany. I told you in my first video about Jacob's epiphany, and how he called the place he saw God face to face Peniel land. So you can just check out that video. This video will show that Moses also saw God face to face, and he called it the mercy seat in Exodus. So although everyone, including probably a preacher, say no one has ever seen God face to face except perhaps Jesus, the first 2 books of the Bible say otherwise. So here are the Bible verses. Like I said, Genesis 32:30 talks about Jacob's epiphany, and he saw God face to face, so you can look that up. Also, Exodus 33:11 talks about how Moses saw God face to face. If you also look in Deuteronomy chapter 34 verse 10, it talks about how no prophet in Israel, unlike Moses, whom seen the Lord face to face. So you can check out that. Like I said, Exodus 33:11 and Deuteronomy 34:10 for Moses. And you can just look at my first video, Jacob's Epiphany. So also, so the main thing I want to focus on is the mercy seat, okay, which is the pineal gland in this case. All right. So if you go to Exodus chapter 25 verses 17 through 22, it's going to discuss how the mercy seat is made and where it is. It's between 2 cherubim. So the 2 cherubim basically is the cerebrum. So basically your brain. So I'm going to discuss the entire tabernacle, because that mercy seat and the ark is inside the tabernacle. And then finally I'm going to summarize the entire Exodus from Egypt to Canaan, and eventually where their goal was to get to the promised land. All right. So basically, going to the tabernacle. The tabernacle, so if you go on Wikipedia and look up tabernacle, it's the portable dwelling place for the divine presence. So that's basically talking about your body. You know what I'm saying? So there's 2 parts of this tabernacle described in the Bible. One is the outer chamber called the holy place. The holy place has a golden lampstand inside of it. If you look at the description, it has 3 arms on each side and the 1 on the top. So they're basically talking about your spine and your 7 chakras. So we're dealing with that number 7 again. They talking about, it also told you there's a table inside there. The table is for showbread. They said it's usually 12 loaves of showbread. What they're talking about, your 12 pairs of cranial nerves that run up the spine, up to your cranial, which is your head. The altar of incense is talking about at the base of your spine. I told you that's a serpent called Kundalini. That's fire that's wrapped around. You know, that's in your medical symbol. Those 2 snakes that run up. That's basically that fire that I told you. You have to illuminate your head. If you don't, it turns to ashes. So you can see that in my Santa Claus video. All right. So at the bottom is Satan. At the top is Saint Nick. So that's what the altar incense is. So this whole outer chamber is basically your torso. So this is your arm, leg, and arm. Okay. The inner chamber is called the Holy of Holies. So this is where that ark is, that mercy seat, the Ark of Testimony. Sometimes it's called the Ark of the Covenant. That's basically your entire brain. Okay. So basically those stone tablets that the 10 Commandments were written on, that's your skull. Because remember, you had a soft spot when you was a baby. Your skull fused together. It really wasn't one big skull at first. It fused together. So that represents those tablets. Aaron's rod. Remember, Moses had a rod, but Aaron had one also. And he was able to turn his into a serpent and so on and so forth. So what we're talking about, since this is inside your head, the Holy of Holies is your head. We're talking about your brain stem. It's also a part of our brain called the reptilian brain or the R complex. So you have to Google basal ganglia. So we're talking about that brain stem. It's the rod and that reptilian part of our brain. That's Aaron's rod. It's a jar of manna. Manna is basically bread or divine bread. So bread, whenever you see the word bread, unleavened or whatever, it's basically the word of God. So remember we lost it. So it's a jar of it. Whenever we ready unscrew that jar, it's the lost divine word. All right. So the ark's cover is basically the cerebral cortex, in particular the neocortex. So remember, he said he would commune and give you the ark of testimony on top of the mercy seat, and on the top of the ark, and that's where you can meet God at. So when you read that in Exodus chapter 25. So they're talking about the neocortex is where you're going to be at. Alright, so you can look up all that on Wikipedia. So this is basically the head. So you're dealing with the arm, leg, arm for the outer part, and the head for the inner part. So the whole thing is arm, leg, arm, head, which is your tabernacle. I told you, Allah is just basically God in the flesh. That's who you are. You don't have to be a Muslim. This is not for religious folk. So this is for scientists trying to do this on their own. Alright? So we're going to just throw all religion out. Okay? So that's basically taking care of the tabernacle. Let's break down Moses' name. It means drawing out. You know, he was drawing out the water. It symbolizes osmosis. So you need to look up osmosis. There's my definition for it. So basically, what was going on is the Hebrews were growing so much in number, the Pharaoh ordered all the male children to be killed or drowned in the Nile. So basically, it was a high concentration of Hebrews in Egypt. So what the whole point of the story was to get them to a lower concentration so they can equalize. So when you look at the definition of osmosis, it's all about bringing it to a low concentration so you can reach equilibrium. And that's what the point of the story is really symbolizing, the allegory of it. Because remember, a cell, if you look at the word cell, even the cells in your body, the etymology of the word cell means prison. So basically Egypt was a prison for the Hebrews, and they were trying to get them out so they can get equality or equilibrium. Alright? So it means drawing out. His name means drawing out. It symbolizes osmosis, but it also equals memories. How is that? The Hebrew word is Moshe. That's his name in Hebrew, Moshe. That's made up of 3 Hebrew letters. Most names are made up of 3 Hebrew letters. So this one's made up of Mem, Shin, and He, or He. So Mem, the Mem and Shin are 2 mother letters. So you gotta look at my Hebrew letter videos. Mem is water, Shin is fire or light. So this is light, but this is basically fire. He just means window. So you learn that. That's when we become physical. I told you Abram and Sarai earned their H and became physical beings. That's the allegory with the tetragrammaton. All right. So same thing with memories. Mem is water, or OHR, OR, ORY. Everything is light. So water and fire, or water and light. So Moshe and memory is the same word. So in this story, basically Moses represents your memories. Because remember, Moses died before he reached the promised land. So I'm going to show you that on the Kabbalah Tree of Life, what the promised land is. So you basically can't carry your memories with you technically when you die. But when you do this magic stuff, and I'll talk about that in a magic video, that's your goal one time, is to carry some of this memory with you. It's a process you can do. It's a magic trick. You can carry your memory with you until your next incarnation. Alright? If that's what you choose to do. So he represented memory, and that's why he didn't make it to the promised land. He was leading them towards the desert. Remember, the Exodus was from starting off in Egypt, trying to take them to Canaan through the desert, towards the desert, to the promised land. Alright? Alright, so let's talk about what the Red Sea symbolized. Red Sea is basically blood. That should have been an easy one. They're trying to change it now and say really mistranslated. It's supposed to be Reed Sea, but we're gonna stick with the Red Sea. Everybody getting smart now, so they don't want you to notice that it's an allegory. So they want you to think the tabernacle is a real thing. They really trying to rebuild this stuff. It's your body. Your body is the church and the temple. You're the tabernacle. The Red Sea is your blood. He split the Red Sea, which is split through your spine, your blood all through your body. All right. So what you need to know, FYI, is seawater has been used for blood transfusions. Basically, if you look at it, the chemical makeup of seawater is very close to blood plasma. So that's how you know that's what the allegory was talking about. The Philistines are the natural enemy or nemesis of the Israelites. So if you look up the Philistines, if you go to 1 Samuel chapter 4, they stole the tabernacle, but they had nothing but bad luck. What that is the Philistines, they're 5 cities and ruled by 5 lords. Those 5 cities and 5 lords are talking about your 5 senses. Your sense of taste, smell, hearing, sight, and whichever one I forgot. But you get what I'm trying to talk about. So these are your 5 senses. Being an Israelite is your 6th sense, because you're dealing with the mercy seat or your illuminated pineal gland. So you're not stuck in the body. This is when you're in the box. You're stuck in your body or the box. You want to get out of these 5 senses. You don't want to stay Allah. You want to transcend. Okay. Another verse that's not really summarized into the end of the Exodus. But in Exodus chapter 27, verse 21, it talks about this lamp oil that burns all night up until the morning. So basically what they're talking about is what I discussed in the Masonic video about Shemin, or that spinal fluid, it's called olive oil. So you know the olive branch, the same olive branch that the bird bought when God flooded the world and brought it back to the ark to show Noah that the water was dry. It's just a symbolize the meaning live or life. It lets you know life is it's okay to live now. Once again, you know, live. So that's why it was made with olive oil. It's basically talking about melatonin. You secrete serotonin in the daytime, melatonin at night. It's basically a derivative of melanin. We're still talking about that melanin oil, that 666 oil. Alright? Reason being, if you look at my Lucifer video, I described Lucifer as being the mercy seat or the pineal gland, which is the seat of God. And basically, it's buried so deep into your brain, and it's the only part of your brain that doesn't have two. Remember, there's two cherubim, two cerebrums, there's two everything, two sides of your head, two this, two that. But this is the only single structure in your brain, which is the pineal gland, and it's buried deep, but yet it's still able to sense if it's light or dark outside. So that's what we're talking about here. That's that lamp oil that burns from the night to the day. So I just want to point that out. Okay? So I talked about memories. So so I'm going to use the Wikipedia page to summarize the Exodus. So it starts off in Egypt. Like I said, the Hebrews was growing in number, so there's so many of them that the Pharaoh ordered all the male children to be murdered and drowned in the Nile. So what happened was when Moses' mother gave birth to him, she hid him for as long as she could. It turned out to be 3 months. So we're dealing with that number 3 again. So she hid him for 3 months. So I'm gonna move it over here for the numerology. All right. So that's your 3 months. She hid him for 3 months. He was there. He also had an older sister. She was 7 years older. Aaron was 3 years younger. It was 70 members of their household that was in Egypt. Okay. He hit him for 3 months. She ended up putting him in a bulrush, a little makeshift boat, and the Pharaoh's daughter and her handmaids discovered him. She wanted to raise him as her own, so she ended up, since Miriam, his sister, was looking on, she walked up and said, "You want me to take him to a Hebrew woman?" He basically got nursed by his mother, and then when he became old enough, they brought him back, when he got past the nursing stage, brought him back to the Pharaoh's daughter, and she adopted him as her son. Remember all my stories about the Messiah or whoever played the Savior in every story, they're never raised by their biological parents. So you remember Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, she was raised by her auntie and uncle. Same with Peter Parker. Same with Jesus, came to earth for Joseph. Same with Superman, he had his earth father. So just notice these are the same stories told with different characters from different vantage points. Alright? That's all it is. So he's not being raised by a biological parent. He's being raised by the Pharaoh's daughter, ironically. Alright? So he eventually the story goes, if you look at the Wikipedia page, he's seen some Hebrew getting beat by somebody. He killed somebody, he had to flee Egypt because he murdered somebody. He got to this well, he saved 7 shepherd his daughters. They go to number 7 again. Blah 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 blah. So you just look at the Wikipedia page for the summary for all these numbers. I just want to point out the numbers. You may not see the number 9, like 666 equals 9. 8 is 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. What you're going to notice that they wandered from Elam to the wilderness of sin. It took them 45 days. So 45, basically they reached a goal. It's basically the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. Alright, so that's the wilderness of sin. Alright, so that's what at 9. You got the 10 plagues, the 10 God magnified in your experience. That's the 10 commandments, the 10 plagues. The symbol of God in action was 10 separate symbolizes. Okay? So those are the numbers that pop up. I just want to point that out. Now let's go to the tree of life so we can show you what all this is. Now, at some point, I want you to understand that these are the 7 chakras. Also, although the root chakra is in the base of your spine on your body, we're talking about the tree of life. So it's basically in your feet. So I told you in the Santa Claus video, S-O-L-E, or the sole of your feet, are the same as S-O-L, sun, S-O-U-L, so on and so forth. Basically, when we fell down into the world, it went into your feet. So if you go to feet reflexology, you will know that you can manipulate every organ in your body through your feet. So just look up the feet, the different nerves in your feet. Every organ is you can be manipulated through your feet. So that's what that symbolizes. Trying to get us from out of here up to Canaan. Okay. So Egypt is Malkuth, or the 10th emanation. Canaan is Yesod, or the foundation. The foundation is ruled by the moon. Alright, the Sumerian moon god was named Sin, S-I-N. So this is Mount Sinai. This is the mountain of Sinai that Moses kept going to. Alright, so there's two mountains. They try to say it was the same, but it's not the same mountain. I'm finna explain right now. So this is Yesod, the emanation number 9, ruled by the moon on the Kabbalah tree of life. So this is why they said Sinai or Sin, the Sumerian god of the moon. When he kept seeing God in the burning bush, he went to Mount Horeb, H-O-R-E-B. This is ruled by the sun. So this is Luke Skywalker in my Star Wars video. So this is the sun. Because you notice, and after he got the second tablets, his face was shiny. So this is the burning bush. This is lined up with the heart chakra. So I know this is pretty small, but I'll just show you right here. 4 and 5 is lined up with the shoulders. 6 is the heart. The 9th emanation is basically your genitals. Okay, 7 and 8 is like your stomach or something like that, or solar plexus. So we're dealing with this solar plexus area. So this whole area has to do with the sun. The solar plexus is between your navel and your heart. Alright? But the heart is ruled by the sun. So that's what the burning bush, the whole story about the burning bush, he kept meeting him right here. Alright? Because remember, he didn't make it to the promised land. The promised land is up here. But they were going towards the desert. Remember I told you the desert in the Masonic video was the abyss, the hidden shifra, or the 11th, Dath. So this is a desert that the Masons have to cross on a camel, which is the Hebrew letter Gimel, or the G that they wear on their chest. So this is the desert he was leading them to. His memory, which he's the memory, died before he got to the promised land. Alright? So this is all about you. This is your tabernacle. What else? And I'll talk about more about Canaan and how it's the your side. I told you this is your genital area, so I'll talk about that in my next Masonic video. Because I told you this is what 2-ball cane is, which is your 2 balls and your penis. Alright, so that's the Mason Masonic password when they get to the 3rd degree. I want to make sure I'm not missing nothing. So this is number 6 is Tifera. You can look that up, the burning bush. These are all the pages I use. You go back on here. So make sure you got burning bush, Tifera. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Divine presence. Alright, I just want to repeat myself just before I turn the camera off. Mount Horeb is the 6th emanation. Mount Sinai is the 9th. So look at the Kabbalah tree of life. You'll see these are ruled by different ones. I always talk about the 3rd one, which is ruled by Saturn, because that energy dropped down to the 10th one. So Saturn became Satan, so on and so forth. So this is the moon. So this was in the Star Wars video. This was Luke Skywalker's mother, and also Princess Leia. So he was the son. Oh yeah, so this cuts off. Remember I told you the tabernacle is your torso. From this point on down, I told you this 4 and 5 is your shoulders. So this is your throat right here. So you might see a Mason come across their neck when they do their do-guard sign. So that's what they're talking about. They're cutting off the most holy place from the holy place. The Holy of Holies is at the top. Everything under here is just the rest of your tabernacle or your torso. And I think that's it. Alright, so make sure you go look at my first video, Jacob's Epiphany, tie that in with this one, and we'll go into more detail about things I may have left out in another video.